people began asking me once again to spread my work, the work that we've done at Bridges Together over the last several years. And so I come out of sabbatical, and I thought that perhaps the best thing I can do is to share some of the thoughts I have and some of the resources that we have to help wrap you and the people and empower you so that you can wrap the people in your life in love. Because really, that's what we all need right now in this time of unrest. So my husband and I had been empty nesters, and then abruptly last week, two of our emerging adult sons moved home. I am happy to have them home with us, and I'm so grateful that we have the resources to provide for our family during these difficult times. But it really forced me to ponder, how can I make this time a peaceful time, a time of love for us, and for those whom we love and those in our circle of love. And so in this presentation, I really offer some of the lessons that have helped me frame my own life during this time. I have to admit that a few weeks ago, I was feeling a lot of despair, which is not my typical nature if you know me. But I just, with what was going on politically and then watching the coronavirus move, first of all, affect so many people in China, but then move across to Italy where I have family. So I picked up this book, Hanging On to Hope, Reflections and Prayers for Finding Good in an Imperfect World by Melanie Svoboda. And in it, she says that to have hope is to be loving, gentle, forgiving, and patient. And that's really helped me. And for the first couple of weeks, I would actually take stock each night about how I did with those four areas. How loving was I? How gentle? How forgiving? And how patient? And let me tell you, I have not been very gentle about social isolation. But it is good. And even now, when someone's temper flares over here, I'm able to be like, okay, I'm just going to be patient. I'm just going to be gentle and carry on. Number two, use a flexible structure. The night my kids got home and we had our first dinner tonight, I was like, do you guys know what a flexible structure is? And they're like, no. I was like, have you not heard me talk about this? I cover it in all my trainings. It's in all our materials. It's this concept that we're going to have a structure, but it's going to be flexible, kind of like this design in the toy that we have played with as children. So, for example, in our family, we are going to have dinner together as a family every night between 6 and 7. That's what the structure is. The flexibility is, what time are we eating? What are we eating? And so we actually made a list of what people would like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. My kids are old enough that breakfast and lunch is on their own, but dinner is together. And we live next door to my parents, so we've been enjoying meals with them too. Chores, space. We have people working from home. We have 2 students doing online learning. What's that going to look like? And then time, and how are we going to use that? So one of the other flexible structures, well, 2 of them, we're going to do some gardening and be outside every day, and we are going to do something as a family in the evening. And so, again, those are flexible structures. So I invite you to think about what are the flexible structures that might help you and your family. So I think on the most basic level, remember with little kids when we'd say, do you want to go to bed now or in 5 minutes? That's a flexible structure, but we can use them with more advanced concepts too. Stay connected and reach out to others. Thankfully, with technology, it's so easy to be connected. But making phone calls, sending cards, Skyping, FaceTiming, using Zoom, and a lot of these can be done free. And so if we can walk each other through them and how to use those technologies, there's a WhatsApp app that is used a lot in Europe. And it's just really great to be able to stay connected. But I think each of us needs to think about, who do we want to be connected to during this time? And how often during the day do we want to connect with someone outside of our own home? So I've been trying in the mornings to actually pray about who should I call that day and make one phone call in the morning to someone, just so that I stay connected and I know that that person is being connected too. And some of it is just other mothers who need an outlet, and then sometimes it's older adults who just need, who are home and isolated, and that phone call would do a world of good. And let's not forget our kids. They're used to being surrounded by a lot of adults who hopefully love and nurture them, and those kids could use the support beyond their parents. Start a meaningful conversation. Um, so many of you have enjoyed through the years our grand conversation cards. Well, we actually created a new set over the summer called More Grand Conversations, and it's 40 new decks of questions. You can now order them online. They sell for $10 a deck plus $4 shipping. If that's a hardship for you, if you just shoot me an email and we'll see what we can do about pricing for you. So I do want to get these into people's hands, but you can use them at your own dinner table. You can use them for writing prompts, for students, for memoir writing, for older adults who are isolated, for people who are going in to visit elders, to start conversations on the phone with other people in your life. So the more grand conversation cards, you can order them right on our website. Express gratitude for 10 things in my life, or maybe make a list of 10 things that you're grateful for. Maybe if you're sharing a meal, you can go around and ask everybody one thing they're grateful for that day. And then also in your conversations with others, maybe start like, what's one good thing today? We need to try to keep the focus on the positive as much as we can. The sixes ask around, what are the stories that people have heard about the flu epidemic of 1918, and what are the lessons that were learned? My friend Jeanette was sharing that her grandmother, who lived through the that flu epidemic, talked about the tents that were set up outside to care for people, but so that they could have access to fresh air. And so whenever Jeanette and her siblings were sick, her grandmother would take them out to get fresh air and to use their lungs outside. So it's an important lesson for us to continue to get sunshine and fresh air, even as we're trying to maintain social isolation. But my family has stories to share too. What does your family have to say? What can we learn from their experience? As we wash our hands, what about saying a prayer and sending healing love and good karma, either just to send it out in general or maybe for different groups, maybe for our first responders, maybe for our medical personnel, maybe for people who are suffering, but a lot of us, maybe for parents who are stuck home with their kids, or for older adults who are isolated, or other people who are isolated, people who are suffering from depression and anxiety that can be so debilitating. But as we wash our hands more, that would be a nice practice to integrate. Um, Feel free to share this message with others if we can provide some hope and some nuggets and some information. That would be really lovely. And then in Italy, I don't know if it's throughout Europe or just in Italy, there's a mantra, well, it must be in Italy, all will be well again, and they're using the rainbow as a symbol. My nephew did this picture and sent it over. I'm happy to print it out and post it on my refrigerator, but they've actually been hanging them from the balconies in Italy too, where people are having to stay in their residences. So remember, all will be well again, and there's silver linings in all the storms. There are rainbows that come out after the storms. And the same is true. We are seeing a lot of good come out of this, as hard as it is. And so remember, yeah, all will be well again. Andrea, tutto bene. So until next time, all will be well again. Bye-bye.